All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for making the time to be part and parcel of this engagement. My name is Josephat Chiho, and I will be your directors of ceremony for this proceeding and for this afternoon. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for really making time out of your busy schedule to be part and parcel of this engagement. So today we are going to have our engagement that we call the Alumni Talks. And the Alumni Talks is really an initiative that is aimed or that is established to bring a more collaborative and connection with its alumni. So there's a platform where we are bringing alumni from different US funded programs to come and share their best practices, their experiences, as well as also their views and experiences while they were in the States or in the US with the Namibian young people who are aspiring and who are aiming to also take part and parcel in those opportunities. So the structure of this program is where selected alumni share their best experiences, is an excellent way to inspire and guide the Namibian youth. The focus is on various aspects such as their experience with the US funded programs, their time that they spent in the United States, their takeaways while they were in their experiences from the US, and application of acquired skills in community or contribution to provide a holistic views and impact of this program. So this is going to be one of the many series that we'll be hosting monthly, where we'll be bringing different alumni to come and share their best practices and their ways or their experiences while they were in the US. But in our first engagement, as you can see, we have one of our alumni by the name of Sebulon David. And just to give you a small also some highlight of Sebulon David is that Sebulon David is the CEO of Global Groups, and he is also a 2015 Mandela Washington Fellow. So he's a well-known and well-regarded speaker on regional businesses, leadership, and technology topics. He holds a degree in computer science from the University of Namibia and is also a 2022 Namibia Business Hall of Fame laureate and a first winner of the Southern African Entrepreneurs Innovation Support. Sebulon David is also a well-known ambassador of the Eliambala Youth Mobile and various initiatives, including the Dream Builders Africa, Europe Code Week and Challenge, and Africa Asia Youth Coding. So through his talents and development program, Sebulon encouraged individuals to break free from limiting beliefs and to continuously pursue personal and professional growth. And we are really extremely happy and grateful to have Mr. David with us here to share his view, to share his experience, and also just to inspire the next young person from Namibia on pursuing the opportunity and the career that Mr. David has pursued in. So without wasting much time, Mr. David, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, Josephat.
All right. Thank you so much, really, for making time and for being here with us as our first speaker for this engagement. And as a way of just to highlight and also to discuss about the topics for today, so we just wanted you to share firstly with us, your experience with the US funded program, the time that you're in the US, what were some of the key takeaways and some of the contributions to your communities that you have engaged after returning from the States. So if you can just share that with us and we can then build on the conversation from there. So Mr. David, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Josephat, for giving me the platform to share my experience. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I have a small pitch deck on my side. I don't know if you can give me a presentation. Right.
Yes, I'm sure Paulina can share that with you. Do you have the right? Let's see.
Right. Can you see my screen, Josephat? I just need a confirmation from your side.
Perfectly well.
Okay, great. My name is already stated. I'm Sebulon David, and I'm an alumni. I went to the US with a program called the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. And I was stationed or placed at the University of Texas at Austin. I was in the business track, and we were about 25 people from different countries across the continent. And really my presentation is really around the how do you climb the mountain, because you go from a village, or you go from a small community in Namibia to actually interacting, climbing the ladder, interacting with some of the most talented individuals across the continent, and then coming back, being inspired and having all these networks. You're then motivated to see what you can then do in your community. So my presentation is around, I'm going to touch a little bit around theory. I'll share more some experiences, and then also the applications, how I've navigated around this field of business and entrepreneurship, and really giving back or creating impact in my community, leveraging the skills, the knowledge, the networks, and everything that I've picked up in the US. So my time goes back to 2015. In fact, 2014, I was browsing through the internet, and then I'm a big fan of personal development, and I came across a video of President Barack Obama addressing a group of young people, and that's how I got to learn about Mandela Washington Fellowship. I started watching a lot of videos. I then started learning that there is this program that is targeting or helping young individuals that are doing amazing things on the continent, and I felt that I can also be part and parcel of this movement. And I then started my application, and I was called to the interview. That time I was living in Enana, and I had to do my interview in Ongwediva. And the program is really centered around entrepreneurship in various tracks, including business. At the time, we had the business track, we had the public management, and then the civic engagement for individuals who are highly involved in in NGO related work. So I picked the business and entrepreneurship track. I was working on my small business at the time, fixing computers in Enana and helping a group of deaf community to teach them how to read and write and so on in my community. So the program included entrepreneurship coursework. Okay, I think someone is not muted or so. And also the leadership development. So I was really glad that I came across this program, and with the curiosity, I then ended up applying, and it's an option that I'm really grateful of, because it has really brought a huge shift in my career, in my perspective, in my views of doing things and so on. So fast track, the program, I then ended up in this institution, the University of Texas in Austin, with a group of people from different countries and all that. And we're all from different areas. Some people were from the film industry, some people were coming from tech side, and then some are working on like business development, including also education technologies solutions. So we had the structure of the program included us going to school, getting lectures, and also we were assigned peer collaborators. So these were individuals that were matched with in the community, Americans who are doing, work that are related to what to our specific areas. So, for example, for me, I was matched with someone in the software engineering space, because my work and my business is around technology and software engineering and development. And it was really good to have this counterpart to engage and share ideas. And it was really the first time that I interacted with someone who was really hands-on in the field of software engineering. Because in Namibia, in 2015, the area of software engineering was just really picking up. And it was just more or less people testing or learning, but not really getting into productive or production products, product that are really entering the market. So it was really a good opportunity for me to engage with these young individual from the American community, who then shared with me his experience. He used to work for companies like IBM. He worked for Facebook and also Google. And that has given me a different perspective. And he was also he was from another country. He was from Mexico. Actually, he was not really originally from America, but he grew his career in the US, and he shared with me how he navigated around the space, and it was really fruitful to learn from him. And the other thing that was also that played a role in my in the development and understanding of the American system is being matched to a home, to have a homestay with a family that was selected, and then you would stay for some time with this family. And I learned a lot from that, because I got to learn things that I could not learn from the coursework. And then the other perspective that we also got from the program was to do some community service, which also helped me to understand that in business or whatever it is that you're doing in your community, it really brought a perspective of asking ourselves the question of what do you do as a profession and what do you do for your community. So doing all this work that we're involved in community service, like, for example, going to feed the needies, for example, or going to clean a street, a specific street in the community, or, for example, going to read for children in a kindergarten. These were all opportunities that really shaped my community engagement part, and to build my business, to have a social responsibility arm. The other perspective that was very, very, very important as well was the leadership development plan. So before we went to the US, just in preparation, as we were preparing for the journey, there was this document that was shared with us. It was called the Leadership Development Plan. In this document, there was a lot of question, including asking us the question of, like, how do you want to see Africa, and what would be your contribution to this, changing or transforming Africa to become better. And also being very specific to say, what is the tracks or career that you want to build in. And it's a living document that up to this day, I'm still using my leadership development plan, because it allows me to set goals, and also to set targets, to say, if I want to achieve this, what are the networks that I need to build, for example, and what kind of habits that I need to build around myself. The other thing that was also very important with this program that I went for is the mentor. So after the program ended, we were assigned mentors from different companies and organizations. So at the time I was assigned a mentor from Oracle, and this in Europe. And when I got back to Namibia, I continued developing my skills and my leadership skills. This executive person that I would never have gotten a chance to interact with, and this has really shaped my career. Now, my contribution when I got back to my community is that it was very overwhelming, because then when you are in the US, you are exposed to all these, and every day you have a specific program that you are following, and you have site visits where you are going to different companies like Google, Facebook's, Dropbox, interacting with entrepreneurs in the community, a lot of presentations being done. And we learned so much from the different companies, and we're exposed to different company cultures, and how we can build integrity, and also how to build our companies to become sustainable in our, and so on. And when I got back, I had to really narrow down, I realized that I had so many ideas. It's more like you're having a folder full of 100 movies, and it's very difficult to choose the movie that you need to that you'd want to watch. So the first thing that I did after I got back, I really had to just lay out all these ideas and all these programs that I was exposed to, and then also look at to say, what are the programs that I can start, in the short term, and what are those programs that I can maybe start at the later stage, and so on. So I also realized that I needed to take ownership of my community instead, because one of the things that we've learned in the program is to learn that leadership is no way associated to politics or so. So you can be a leader without a status. You don't need a status or a rank or a position to be a leader. You can lead from whatever position you are at. And that helped me to really look at my community and as my village to say that if I'm going to change the world, I need to start first with my community, my immediate community, and build a program that will then benefit the rest of the world. And that helped me to create a program that is enabling or empowering the next generation, creating, learning how to create and build a website and mobile apps, like helping young people to learn how to market and sell, so that then we can create jobs for the young individuals and so on. And as we're doing it, we also realized that we needed more partners. We came up with various strategies in how we can work with the government instead of, let's say, paying expensive, hotels or conferences facilities. We came up with a strategy to partner up with the Ministry of Education, where the ministry would then communicate to all the regions in the country, and the directorates of education across the country would organize conference rooms and teachers resource centers where we can do our trainings. And this has really helped us to scale our programs over the years, leveraging the available resources instead of just looking at that one need to have a lot of money. So the little money that is there, for example, can be leveraged on the things that really need to be spent on, like transportation, for example, for the trainers to reach different communities, for example. But when it comes to issues with internet, for example, or conference facilities and things like that, we're very, I think with the exposure that I got from the US and how I saw the different communities and organizations working together, whether it's academias or whether it's the public sector, for example, or the private sectors, really working together with a common goal. And also with the culture of, in the Austin community, there's this very strong culture of hook 'em horns. The community has built a very strong brand, and that allowed the individuals in the community to take ownership of their own development. And that's what also inspired me to then create a brand in my community and selling the brand or the vision to the different people in the community, so that then we can drive together. The other thing that is also there that we learned in the process, is really to turn these programs in so that then they end up creating real jobs in the community, because there's a huge unemployment in the country, and that allowed us to create a program that then creates jobs for the young people and also women. Now, my career has really, as I said at the beginning, if it was not because of Mandela Washington Fellowship, I know that it would have taken me a very long time for me to figure out many things. And with this exposure, number one, being connected to other young individuals across the whole continent, it really gave me an opportunity to collaborate with other young individuals in other countries, and allowed me to travel to many different countries, not worrying where I'm going to stay or who I'm going to see that side. Because the thing is, if you have a network, then it means that the other person that you are, your partner on the other side would organize those networks for you. Whatever it is that you want, they can then organize those relationships and build up those networks for you at a very low cost. Because the thing is, you do the same thing for others, they would do the same thing for you as well. So because I went for the business track. So my career has been since 2015. I really went aggressive around developing myself in the business space, and this has helped me to become, to be positioned as an elite in the country, and to enter the Business Hall of Fame. And also at the Southern African level, I was invited to so many different platforms, including the Southern Africa Industrial Week, where I had to do some presentations on the kind of work that we are doing in Namibia and how we are growing that across the borders. And I've participated a lot in South Africa in most communities there. And this is because of the network and the relationships that we've built, and we're able to collaborate with another fellow to push some projects in some of the most rural areas of South Africa. And we then leveraged our two countries. We learned from Namibia what we are doing here, and then we also learned from South Africa. And now we are looking at how we can then expand our different projects across the continent, leveraging the networks that we have in other countries as well. So this has led to Southern Africa Innovation Support, profiles, led to being an ambassador for Africa Code Week over the past 5 years, and also working with the Asians on coding and artificial intelligence initiatives. And we're also able to build a very good relationship with different regions across the country to set up a regional ICT summit. And we're waiting to have another one this year. So this has become an annual event, and it will be happening every year. It's an event that brings together educators and youth and businesses to build an edutech ecosystem. So my current focus now is more of giving back, giving back to my community, helping other people as well to find their niche in the industry, and highly involved around manufacturing, trade and services, and leveraging tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning and software development to build solutions that really cut across the country, and also be going beyond the borders and solving the African problems. This has led us to building very strong relationship with this big vision. We quickly learned that we cannot do it ourselves. We needed to have partners from all space. Whether it's collaborating with universities, we collaborated with University of Namibia, IUM. We partner up on applying for grants, for example, with big institutions, both local and international. Like for example, last year we were working on a project with one of the two universities actually in Ghana and two universities in Finland, and this is all due to understanding how that one cannot build achieve big visions alone. You have to really partner up with other people who share the common goals, and building relationship based on trust and core values. So if all this sums up to my five steps, and which I've learned through the Mandela Washington Fellow, is that the first thing is that you need to know yourself. You need to know your strength. And as part of the Mandela Washington Fellowship program, one of our professors actually helped us to do our strength test. We used a platform called Gallup Strength Test, Strength Finder, and I learned my strength that which were 5 when I did the test. The first one was futuristic. I learned that I had the futuristic strength. Second one, I learned that I had the learner strength, willing or hungry to learn. The third one was that I was self-assured. It's more like confidence, but more than confident. And I'm an activator and very strategic. So having learned that was my strength, I then leveraged that to build my organization to have to always leverage those strengths, and that allowed us to have impact, and also it helped us to then drive the profit of the business. The second step, which I think is very, very important, is the ability to reason, because the thing is, you know, you learn and get exposed to all these amazing ideas or projects or programs or technologies and things like that. But one still needs to apply the thinking, what works here and what would not work, you know, and being open-minded to adjust and to adapt, because you're building something new in your community, and not many people understand what it is that you're doing. So it requires a lot of pivoting, a lot of reasoning, a lot of logic, and you know, trying to find what works and what is not working. So it's a process of experimenting and seeing what works and what is not working. And that having the ability to reason is really crucial. The other thing which is very, very important is building a team, as you not be able to achieve your goals alone. So it's crucial that you build people that believes in your vision. So casting a vision and really building up that team that complements your ability or your personality and so on is really crucial. And then the other thing is having a strategy to scale. You know, you build from a community, but then the thing is you have to have a bigger picture of how you can reach all the corners, for example, of the continent. How can you work with someone in Nigeria? If you using or building technology, it means that once you launch it on the internet, someone in Nigeria can access it, or someone in Kenya can access it without you having to transport anything on the road. So that has helped us to, you know, to really reach many different parts of the continent, and also traveling to different countries. I remember, like, for example, I traveled to Niger in 2017 because of one of the fellows at that site that wanted me to appear on his program, that we were collaborating on a project. And you know, the exposure that I had on the other side helped me to boost my project, because I realized that we're more privileged on this side, and if I had to adjust my program to reach the Western African community, I needed to also consider some aspects that I did not consider in my initial plan. So you having a strategy to scale and collaborating with other people will allow you to really see some of those things that you maybe have not thought of, or maybe they are not yet as pain points in your community, but they are pain points on the continents elsewhere. The other thing which is very, very important, the last one, is the power plays. You know, it's good to have a plan to of a bigger of a greater good. That if people come together, they push. People never partner up to do small things. They always partner up to do big things. And with that with that in mind, it then always helps you to build new relationships. And those relationships, you know, that if everyone is adding value, it will only lead to a much bigger value that everyone will then get benefit. With that, I've come to the end of the presentation. I hope this opens up questions and answers to hear from the audience. Thank you so much once again, Joseph.
Thank you so much, Sebulon, and for a very fruitful, you know, engaging and also good presentation where you already shared, you know, your whole experience and your whole journey from Mandela Washington Fellowship all the way up to what you're currently busy with now. I know it has been a journey way beyond that, but then through your inception with the Mandela Washington Fellowship, it's roughly over about 9 years now. And in those 9 years, it's quite, you know, impressive to see all the amazing work that you've done and the whole collaboration that you've engaged with also. So I would like to really also encourage, you know, all our viewers and all our attendees, if you have any questions, please throw them in our chat on our Facebook page. And Paulina will also be assisting me with reading any question or any comments that are coming in there. I think maybe while we're waiting for 2 or 3 more questions or so, I just wanted to also revert back to Sebulon again, just to maybe share with us, like, you know, I know we all take different, you know, paths in life, and all these paths come with different circumstances and come with different, you know, criticism and negativities around that. So maybe a little bit, how was your journey, or how has your journey been, or how did you overcome, you know, negativities around your passion, what you're passionate about, which is community upliftment, which is entrepreneurship, which is no technology. And then secondly is that, you know, how has support been actually? I saw that in your last slide, you did mention that, you know, a lot of different institutions are on board support you. Maybe if you can just share a little bit in terms of like, how has the support been from where you started up until now? Has it grown? And to what are some of the hints or some of the tips that you could give to our viewers also in building relationships and overcoming negativities?
Right. Thank you, Josephat, for that amazing, good question. So when it comes to negativities, I mean, it's gonna, it's gonna come, your way as you're building. But I think the most important thing is always to have a reason, a very strong why you started what you're doing. That will always keep you, going, because the thing is, if you know that you're doing it for that particular reason, for example, let's say, whether it's for your family and your community, for example, or you have clearly defined to say, I'm doing this to create a job for myself and for others, or to empower myself and others, or to empower women, or building out on your own experience, real experience. And that's why in the steps that I've shared, the first item there is really knowing yourself, to know your motivation. And for me, my motivation is madness. In the sense that madness in the sense that if I see something bad in the community, I feel agitated. I feel like I want to do something to create a solution. And if I create a solution, the outcome of the outcome is the one that gives me hope for the next thing to do. So seeing problems is more like it encourages me to do something, because without a problem, I wouldn't be able to do anything. So for me, solving problems is something that I'm glued to, and I'm always trying to find out what are those problems and how can I solve those problems in my community, and how can I add value. Now, one thing that I've also learned, which is tying on to the second question, is that as I'm creating the solutions, I realize that you need to leverage what others are doing, and that's where creativity and innovation comes. And one thing that I've learned also is that you build strong relationships when you understand what is the motive of the other, the other party. Like, for example, a good example would be if you have two leaders from two villages. Each leader is leading his people in his own village, but then usually between the villages, you have this space, untapped land in between. If the two leaders can find a common ground that is in between their two villages, they would then end up creating projects of food to feed their two communities. So, I've used that concept in so many grounds, where I always look at what is in between my organization and what I'm doing with the other persons that they are not doing, but it can, if we do it together, it will add value to both sides. And creating those programs or projects or products that create mutual benefit, it has really helped me to build strong relationship, both local and international.
Thank you so much. I saw that, Hilaria, you have your hand up. Do you have a question for Sebulon? Hilaria?
I think it's my device issue. I didn't raise.
Okay.
Sorry for that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great, Josephat. I think I also have a question while we wait for everybody else to just formulate their question. David, I want to find out what you learned in the US during your Mandela Washington Fellowship. Was it easy to apply what you learned in the US to the Namibian context? Because sometimes what you learn or the market in a different country does not exactly apply to the country that you are in. So how did you navigate what you learned and finding a way to make sure that it's applicable to the Namibian context?
Okay, thanks for the question. There are something like in the steps that I've given. The second part is the ability to reason, and I've used that part to scan through what I've learned in the US. The one thing which is good about Namibia and the US is that we have seen so many movies, or a lot of movies, and when we went on the other side, it's not so strange, if I may say, that there was so much to relate to what we already see on TV, in the sense that, like, we speak the language and so forth. But when it comes to tailor making the solutions to apply what I've learned on the other side, is that I would say is the added advantage to the program that you are meeting other young people from other countries on the continent, and that relationship helps also, or add value to the implementation, learning from each other, and the environment you'd really learn. You'd understand that when you travel to other communities, sometimes the community that you travel to, let's say if you go to Botswana or you go to Zambia or Zimbabwe, you'd even settle into that community, and people will not even know that you are from another country. And I think with that that added advantage to the program, meeting other young people, for example, it's really a plus when it comes to implementation. And the other thing also is that it's just that part of leveraging the relationship with the various organizations, but it's never easy, especially when you're doing something that was never done before. It took us many years to convince certain officers, for example, to work with them, and with the entrepreneurial spirit or mindset, we kept doing. And we learned also that some people would immediately understand what it is that you're doing. Some people will understand maybe after 3 or 4 years, and some will understand after 8 years or 9 years, or some will not even understand at all. But the most important thing is just to keep doing. If you know that you're doing the right thing, just keep doing what you're doing until people see the value that you are adding. And once they see that, they will then tend to appreciate.
Great, thank you so much, Sebulon. Christopher Maps on Facebook says, "Good afternoon, Sir David and co. Very interesting discussion. Thanks. Does power plays include taking bold steps and making the right relationships? Could you expand further? And in the local socio-economic context, what is the right timeline to plan for to effect successful change? Is it 3 years, 5 years, or a decade? Thanks very much."
Okay, another great question, amazing questions. So the power play actually is that, in the beginning of my slides, I've talked about the theory, the experience, and then the application. So one thing from my experience, at least, when I, there's so much that you learn and all that, but then there's a part where you have to face your own fears, because everyone has their own fears. And that part is where you really have to, like, you keep pushing to the point where once you have understood your core and your motivations and all that, and you've put in place most of all these structures that I've mentioned earlier, is that you then get to realizing that if you don't do that thing, or that what you have in your mind, the dream that you have, nobody else is going to do it, and that is your mark on the continent, in this world. And if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it. So the power play is really you absorbing everything that you have learned and applying it, and you being really the leader. Because although at the beginning you're given these titles like you are a leader, or you are building yourself as a leader, there is this part that you have to reach the pinnacle where you have to really apply yourself as a leader. And that also means that giving back, because you have now built up your skills and your knowledge, and you are now at the point where you are able to mentor other people. And when you mentor other people, you are building up an army. And when you then build that army, you become unstoppable, because then it's an army that is pulling in one direction. And the other question, can you just point out the last part? I think that of that question, it was a bit long, that I did not get the last part exactly.
Okay, great. Christopher Maps. And in the local socio-economic context, what is the right timeline to plan for to effect successful change? Is it 3 years, 5 years, a decade? Thanks very much.
Okay. So I would say the one thing that is really important is that at the beginning when you are starting, you have these unrealistic goals or targets, because you set up and say, okay, in the next year I'm going to have this, or I'm going to achieve this and all that. But then you come to realize that you need to have these short-term goals, and you need to have the long-term goals. And I think for me, the trajectory really came when I turned my business plan into a life plan. So in the life plan, what I mean is that I've started looking at to say you need to have a 20-year kind of plan, right? Like of what you want to achieve in the next 20 years. But then as you set this big goal of what you want to achieve in the 20 years, you have what you need to do every day, every minute, right? So you set where you want to go and who you want to be, and then you set what you need to then build or add to yourself, the habits that you need to build up. But then you need to start then that journey. And for me, a realistic target would then be having at least 10 years plan. That whatever it is that you're starting to do or that you're working on, you really start seeing huge success around the 6 to 10 years. And that, it's a process where you're going up and down. You see a little bit of success and you think you've gotten it right, and then just before you kind of messed up. So it's a learning journey. You keep going back until you master your industry or your sector, and most of the people the big players would only partner up with you when they know that you're already doing things, and that's why the first 2 to 5 years is more like you piloting, creating traction, building up these brands, so that then people know you, and when they know you and they know what you're capable of, then things start becoming easier and all that. So realistic is that you start where you're starting, and you have daily goals and targets that you are trying to hit every week, but then you have to have this kind of long-term vision of where you're driving. And that is also what will help you to mobilize other people. People only buy into your vision when they know that you have the long shot, and that you're not looking at only short-term gains. Yeah.
Great. Risto MW Shipanga on Facebook says, thank you for sharing. I'm seeing a great opportunity to collaborate and network with you in certain areas for better community-based solutions. And on Zoom, Muti Aaron says, what would you advise someone who's interested in applying for the program? This, I'm assuming, the Mandela Washington Fellowship.
Right. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and these days what I spend myself doing is that I help people, I mentor people, and I try to expose them to all kinds of opportunities out there. Now, the one thing that is there is that not everyone will get an opportunity to go to the US. But what the program has done is that there is a huge resource. There is an online network that any person, wherever they find themselves, as long as they have a mobile phone or a device or a computer, and internet, they can access all these recorded videos and materials on the internet in different sectors. And I would urge that many young people should really start using those resources even before they apply to go to the US, because the Mandela Washington Fellowship to go to the US, it's limited in the sense that there is resources that are being put in, but the online resources is open to everyone. And there's also the regional Southern African program as well. So many people have come in from different angles. Like, for example, for me, I did not go to the South African one, the regional one. I went directly to the one in the US, and in my presentation, I've also highlighted that I started watching those videos on YouTube and all that. So when I went for my interview, it was much easier because I've already learned a lot from the content that is freely available on the internet. So I'd just like to edge that, I encourage every young person out there to identify their niche and their interest, whether they are interested in business or they are interested in civic engagement or they're interested in public management, and apply for the program. But then also don't just wait for the program to go to the US. Start using the resources that is already freely available to you. Because the whole point is that you need to commit to lifelong learning. It's the only way that you succeed. When you're in business, you need to continue learning. You need to read, you need to watch, you need to listen to podcasts and all that. And you need to build a life plan. As I've mentioned earlier, the life plan is, for me, is having 6 wheels on the ground as an individual, because your business depends on you. And that means that you need to have financial goals, you need to have family goals, you need to have business goals, you need to have healthy goals, you need to have personal development goals, and you need to have spiritual goals as well. Whatever you believe in, you need to make sure that you bring that to the table, and that helps you to set targets for the week, your daily goals, and also being able to review what you have achieved at the end of the week, at the end of every week. There's 52 weeks in the year, and already, like for example, right now, 2 weeks are already gone. There's only 50 weeks left. So having those targets, around what you want to achieve, whether you are in business as myself, or you are in the civic engagement side, or whether you are on the public side, it's important that you set up realistic targets. And think big, set really very, very, very big goals, knowing that you will not achieve them yourself. You need to partner up with others. And if you're crazy enough to think that you can, for example, create a solution that can go to and get used in all over Africa, you might end up with maybe 10 countries using it, your solution, instead of maybe the whole continent. But if you're only thinking of your own village or only Namibia, then you just end up with less than what you're targeting. So it's important to think of our community. You create a solution for Namibia in your local community, but then don't be discouraged when your first or immediate community is not buying in. Like the part that I mentioned, when I had to do a lot of projects in South Africa, is because my community was very resistant where I was implementing these specific solutions. So I then collaborated with this fellow in another country so that I take my solution to another country. And only when my solution started doing well outside the country, then my local community bought in. So you don't stop there. Think big and go for it.
Great, thank you, Sebulon. Another question, just to expand more on the need to collaborate. What advice would you give young people to collaborate with each other? I mean, if we are speaking of things like the African Continental Free Trade Area is for African countries to trade amongst each other. But then I think when it comes to smaller or SMEs, there's a need for Namibians to collaborate with each other. What advice can you give young people in that regard?
Okay, one of the biggest problem in the country is that I'd say our school system is not really having a strong component of collaboration, and I think that then results into our community or our society not really collaborating. The other thing that is also there is that our people usually they don't know what they want. So that part, as I mentioned in my 5-step strategy, knowing yourself. If you know yourself, you know what you want. And it's very difficult to partner up with someone that wants everything. Because the moment you say that you can add this part, they're already doing it. If you say this other side, this other part, they are still doing it. So like it's very difficult to find where to add value if the person is already kind of like a jack of all trades. But if the person knows exactly what they're doing, they know their boundaries, they know what they would want to be an expert in, or where they see an opportunity for themselves, then it makes it very easy for another player to see a form of partnership, because the partnership should always add value to each other, or help each other to achieve something big. So I'd say really, the young people and small businesses, for them to collaborate is really identifying niche and partnering based on their strength. Let's say, for example, someone would be in construction, but they have no idea what construction is, and it's very difficult then to partner up with someone who does not have a strong understanding of their own sector. So it's always important then to leverage the strengths, and that will then allow people to see the need to partner up with each other, because it always then add value to each other, so that then they do something bigger than what they're already doing.
Great. Simon Hadula on Zoom. This is doesn't seem to be a business topic, but I'm sure David, you'll be able to handle it. Young people are separated among political, religious, and tribal lines. How do we bring young people together regardless of their differences?
Right. A very good question, because I think there's someone who is not muted or something. When it comes to that, is that the most important thing is that it doesn't matter which track you are, and again, it goes back again to the first step that I mentioned in the 5 steps, knowing yourself. When you're in business, most of the people actually, when they get in business, they just think of business as, like, let's say, trading or selling. That's it, right? But for you to do something bigger, you need to find a purpose of your business. Your business needs to have a purpose. Like, for example, my background is technology. I'm an engineer by profession, but then I had to find education as my purpose. So I'm executing and running my business, my technology company, and I saw a purpose as education, that's how I'm adding value to my society. So what I would then advise, or like with respect to the question right now, is that it doesn't matter whether you are from the political side, like on the governance side, or whether you are from the business side, or whether you are from the civic side. One thing that the program has done and has helped us to understand is that one has to have an understanding of the whole ecosystem, how the government adds value to the businesses, and how the business adds value to the government, and how the universities, for example, add value to university and the government. So all these different players, understanding that this is an ecosystem, and the ecosystem would not succeed if let's say, if everyone was a business person. And then the ecosystem will also not succeed if everyone was just into academia, just researching, studying and researching and all that, and so forth. And also from the government side, there won't be success if then we only have policies, but we don't have implementers or entrepreneurs that are building the economy to pay tax. So having that broader understanding of how things work, and that this whole thing is like a machine, and one gear needs to turn for the other gear to turn. So understanding that holistic picture is crucial, and understanding that not just having people in positions, but we need to have also the right people in positions, and people need to push from their strength. So in other words, what I'm saying is that there's a difference between just knowing and being competitive in your own in your industry or your sector. So everybody must strive to become the best in their own space and to be the best version of themselves. And when they bring their parts from different sectors, that's how we all succeed as a collective.
Great. Thank you so much, David, for this insightful session. I'm sure that everybody that has joined has taken away one or two pointers that will definitely help them get either it's their businesses or their personal lives to a higher platform. The alumni talks basically just serves as a platform for building a community of knowledge, inspiration, mentorship, and it also aligns with the broader goals of fostering collaboration and contribution to the development of individuals and communities in Namibia. The initiative definitely has the potential for us to create a positive ripple effect to encourage a culture of continuous learning, growth, and giving back to the community. With that said, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in today. I would like to thank David for being here with us. And I would like to say that we will have these sessions every month, which will be the first Thursday of every month. So we'll see you again next month, which is February the 1st. Thank you so much to everybody for joining in and tuning in. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you.